What else is there to New Zealand beyond the rolling hills of the Shire, the adrenaline-pumping bungee jumps, and the fierce haka dances? This video will expose 10 shocking facts about New Zealand that will leave you speechless. From unique cultural practices to extraordinary natural phenomena, New Zealand is full of surprises. So stick around till the end to discover what makes this country truly stand out. Let's get right into it. Fact 1. New Zealand once had an official wizard. Believe it or not, New Zealand once had an official wizard. And no, we're not talking about a character from a fantasy novel. The Wizard of New Zealand, whose real name is Ian Brackenbury Channel, was appointed the official Wizard of New Zealand by none other than the Prime Minister himself, Mike Moore, back in 1990. Initially, the wizard offered his services free of charge, but in 1998, the Christchurch City Council decided to formalise the arrangement and signed a contract with him. Yep, you heard that right, a contract for wizardry services. The council agreed to pay him a cool $16,000 a year for his magical contributions. Over the years, the wizard has become somewhat of a local legend, performing various rituals around the city, from hatching out of a giant egg in the city art gallery to skydiving while chanting spells for major rugby matches. He's even been known to perform rain dances during droughts, not just in New Zealand, but also across the Tasman in Australia. And get this. In 2009, he was awarded the Queen's Service Medal for his services to the community. Fact 2. There are more sheep than people in New Zealand. Yep, you heard that right. The fluffy, woolly creatures outnumber us humans. As of June 2022, the national flock stood at a whopping 25.3 million sheep, while the human population was estimated at around 5.15 million. This ratio of sheep to people has been on the decline over the years, but it's still pretty staggering. In fact, the ratio recently dropped below 5 to 1 for the first time since records began in the late 1850s. Now you might be wondering, why so many sheep? Well, for a long time, the sheep industry played a significant role in New Zealand's economy, with wool exports being a major source of income. However, things have changed over time, with factors such as the rise in dairy farming and the decline in wool prices leading to a shift in focus. But despite these changes, the sight of sheep grazing on the rolling green hills remains an iconic image of the Kiwi countryside. Fact 3. The town with the longest name in the world is located in New Zealand. Now, brace yourself for this tongue twister. The town with the longest name in the world is located right here in New Zealand. Near Parangahau in Hawke's Bay, you'll find a town called Taumata Wakatangi Hangakoawau o Tamatea Turi Pukakapiki Manga Horo Nuku Pokai Wenua Kitanatahu. Yes, that's a mouthful. This name has a whopping 85 characters and is one of the longest place names in the world. But don't worry, locals simply call it Taumata Hill for short. Now you might be wondering what this long name means. Well, it translates into English as the place where Tamatea, the man with the big knees who slid, climbed and swallowed mountains, known as Land Eater, played his flute to his loved one. Quite the romantic backstory, don't you think? Fact 4. Red was a taboo color in traditional Maori culture. In traditional Maori culture, the color red held a significant taboo. It was associated with tapu, a concept similar to the English word taboo. Tapu was believed to be a mysterious superhuman force, and most tapu chiefs were considered the most powerful. The color red played a crucial role in various rituals and practices. For example, during the mourning process, the bones of the deceased were cleaned and painted with red ochre before being taken from village to village for a second period of mourning. Additionally, in some societies, red was used to mark menstrual blood on sanitary products as a demonstration of its absorption, reflecting the cultural significance of the color red in relation to taboos and rituals. Fact 5. The V for victory sign is considered rude in New Zealand. Alright, let's talk about gestures. In New Zealand, there's a gesture you might want to be careful with. the V for victory sign. Now, usually, when you make the V sign with your fingers and your palm is facing outward, it's all good. It's a symbol of peace or victory. But here's the catch. If you turn your palm inward, it's a whole different story. In New Zealand, making the V for victory sign with your palm facing inward is a big no-no. Why, you ask? Well, because it's considered pretty rude. In fact, it's akin to giving someone the middle finger in places like the United Kingdom, Australia, Ireland, and you guessed it, New Zealand. So, to avoid any awkward misunderstandings or accidentally offending someone, it's best to stick with the outward-facing V sign when you're in the land of the long white cloud. Fact 6. It's culturally acceptable to go barefoot in public places in New Zealand. Here's a fun fact about Kiwi culture. Going barefoot in public places is totally okay. Yep, you heard that right. In New Zealand, you'll often see people strolling around without shoes on, and it's perfectly acceptable. This tradition is deeply rooted in Maori culture, where going barefoot is seen as a way of connecting with nature and showing respect for the earth. When you're indoors, especially in places like a Waranui, which is a Maori meeting house and considered sacred, it's common practice to remove your shoes. It's all about showing reverence for the space and the ground you walk on. But the barefoot adventures don't stop there. Kiwis also love kicking off their shoes in outdoor settings like parks, beaches, and sometimes even shops. If you're wondering, isn't that a bit unhygienic? Well, sure, some folks might think so. But in New Zealand, going barefoot is generally accepted and part of the laid-back vibe. However, there are a few places, like shopping malls, where you might need to slip on some footwear because of their rules against bare feet. But hey, for the most part, feel free to let your toes roam free and embrace the barefoot lifestyle in Aotearoa. Fact 7. In New Zealand, hobbit money is legal tender, thanks to the Lord of the Rings fame. Here's a fun fact. In New Zealand, you can find coins featuring scenes and characters from the Hobbit film trilogy, and these coins are actually legal tender. They're aimed at collectors and come in face values ranging from $1 to $10. Some of these coins are even made of precious metals like gold, which makes them quite valuable to collectors. While they can be used as legal tender, their value to collectors far exceeds their face value, so they're not really intended for everyday use. Fact 8. New Zealand has a native bird known for damaging cars, the key. Now, here's something you might not expect. New Zealand has a native bird called the kea, and it's known for its destructive behavior, especially with cars. Keas are large parrots with a mostly dull brown-green color, but they reveal a bright red-orange wing lining when they're in flight. Despite their colorful appearance, they're actually quite mischievous. These birds are among the smartest in the world and are known for their destructive tendencies, which include dismantling cars by peeling off windshield wiper blades, attacking rubber gaskets around windshields, and even bending and snapping radio antennas with their strong beaks. So, if you ever visit New Zealand, you might want to keep an eye out for these playful yet mischievous birds. Fact 9. There are no snakes in New Zealand. Unlike many other places in the world, snakes never evolved in New Zealand, and none ever made their way across the ocean to call the islands home. That's pretty remarkable, right? Now, there is a tiny exception to this rule. There are two types of saltwater-dwelling sea snakes, the yellow-bellied sea snake and the banded sea crate, that can be found swimming in the waters around New Zealand, but they're not native to the area. Fact 10. New Zealand was the last country in the world to be inhabited by humans. Humans settled in New Zealand only 750 years ago, making it the last major landmass to be settled by humans. The settlers were Polynesians who came from Central East Polynesia, and they brought with them a distinctive Maori culture. Interestingly, the settlement process was separate from that of exploration and discovery, and despite taking it to other settlements, the Polynesians didn't bring the chicken to New Zealand. That's a piece of history you don't hear every day. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune into our next exciting video.